Hi guys, good morning and welcome to a day in lockdown with me. Um, so it is lockdown day, like I don't know what, but we are supposed to have 14 days of lockdown, but we will see if it's just 14 days. So I just woke up, and one of the things that I am trying to do this lockdown is to not drive myself crazy and not try to make every day super duper productive, because I think that before lockdown I was doing a lot of work, I was practicing a lot every day, and so I took the first few days where I did not feel like I had to do something yet to actually rest. And I think that it's just rest time that I normally would not get. So I did take that time to not think about the fact that we're in lockdown and just get some much needed rest, I guess, because no matter who you are, your body needs rest and it's part of you performing well. So I think that just taking advantage of that time, because normally we wouldn't have that time anyway. So not thinking about it as a lockdown, but more of like a recovery period. And then today we're back to a normal day. So I am trying not to give myself pressure this lockdown to do things, because I think that sometimes, just me personally being type A, which I've said before, I don't like sitting around doing nothing. So it is really hard, but I'm trying not to think about the fact that we're in lockdown, like I said, and just think about it as okay, usually you're practicing, you're waking up 5 plus. It's your time to rest, it's your time to recuperate before once the 14 days is up, then you can go out and start grinding again. So anyway, let's get started on my day. Let's see what I've got in store today, because I have no idea either. And catch you guys later.
I'm supposed to hear, but I ain't done much hearing. Hello. Now I need somebody to know, somebody to heal, somebody to have, just to know how it feels. It's easy to say, but it's never the same. I guess I kinda like the way you help me escape. Now the day bleeds into nightfall, and you're not here to get me through it all. I let my guard down, and then you pulled a rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you loved.
Play it safe. Let's go! Assemble! Assemble! Help! Help! Spread out! Let's go! Get in the room! 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 Get in the room! Get in the room! I need
Hey guys, so I'm in the middle of editing, but I thought I'd talk about some of the questions that you guys asked me on YouTube. So the first question that I got was to talk about whether I'm working on the mental side of the game. So here's a little background. My dad actually is a mental trainer. He knows NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming, and he's kind of, I would say, almost like ingrained in us since we were kids. So ever since we started like picking up sports and stuff like that, he's taught us a lot of like skills and stuff that I think has just kind of been in us, like, you know, things about the mental strength and about breathing and stuff like that. So we've kind of already always known that. By we, I mean my sister and I. But I am also always learning. I love watching like documentaries, and I love like reading books. So if you guys have any good book recommendations, definitely leave them down below. I mean, I've read most of like the Bob Rotella stuff and those kind of generic stuff, and I read quite a bit of it in college as well, because we used to have this book, not a book club, but we would have this like assignment where our coach would buy a bunch of books and then we would pass it within each other, so we all have a chance to read it, which was a great way to read books, by the way, because you not only save money and everybody gets to read it at once. So I would definitely recommend doing that. But yeah, so I am always working on the mental side of the game, but I also think a big part of working on the mental side of the game is putting yourself in as many mentally challenging situations as possible on the golf course, and nothing really beats that kind of pressure. So I would say nothing beats that. But yes, I am working on on the psychological part of the game, because it is so important. It's a big part of playing golf. So definitely 100% always working to improve on that. Sorry, I had to run a little errand, but I'm back, and the second question that I wanted to answer was regards to Kuala Lumpur and also about things like culture and language. So I love that you guys are asking this. I think personally I love studying about culture, because I think you can learn so much from culture. But okay, so in general, Kuala Lumpur is, so I live in Selangor actually, which is right next to KL. It's I mean, it can be considered the same place, but to those of you guys who want to know, it's actually, I live in Selangor. TPC is in KL, which is 15 minutes from me, so you can see how KL and Selangor, the lines are very blurred. But anyway, Malaysia basically, like growing up, what we learn is that there's three main races, which is Malay, Chinese, and Indian. Obviously there's more than that. We are a melting pot, so we have a ton of different cultures here. And so I got this question a lot when I was in America, so maybe I would just state this just to clarify that I'm Chinese, my religion is Catholic, and I'm Malaysian. So my nationality is Malaysian and my race is Chinese. Because I got that a lot when I was in the States, because a lot of people thought that I was Malay because I'm Malaysian. So I'm not Malay, I mean I'm Chinese. So I don't know if, I
mean, I think that makes sense, but I genuinely got this question a lot because people didn't understand how I could be from Malaysia and not be Malay. But yeah, it's just because we're a melting pot, so we have a ton of different cultures here. Everybody has the freedom to do their own thing. And we have, so with the cultures obviously comes languages, and I think everybody who lives in Malaysia can speak more than one language, whether it's like 100% fluent or not. Even when you talk to, just like when you're ordering food, you're 100% going to talk in different languages, especially, and it depends on what kind of food you're ordering. If you go to a Chinese food place and you order Chinese food, even if you're Indian or Malay, chances are you're going to say something like tapao, which means like take away. So every Malaysian knows how to like say few things in different languages. So for me personally, I speak English and Malay. English is my first language, and I am Chinese, but I never learned Chinese in school. So the way that works is as well, you can either go to a national school or you go to a Chinese school. So I went to a national school, so in Chinese school you would learn everything in Chinese, so that's why I went to a national school. And also my dad doesn't speak Chinese, so my mom's side, they speak Chinese, so I can pick up Cantonese. Mandarin is not so good, but I can understand when people would speak Cantonese, but when I speak, it is very obvious that I did not learn it. So I know the words, but I just don't have the slang. But English and Malay I'm fluent. And yeah, I think that that's quite funny too, because a lot of people don't think I can speak Malay, but I did go to a national school and I am fluent in Malay. And I also got this question about, like, since I can speak English and Malay, do I think in Malay, which is, the answer is no, obviously, because as I just said, my first language is English. So I do think in English, but I also think that depending on how fluent you are, you might have to think in another language to speak the other language. But there's always going to be a base language. So for instance, when I went to Korea and I was learning Korean, I would reference English words. So it's like, how do I say hello? So hello is 안녕하세요. So I would have to reference, okay, I want to say hello to this person. So I go to my memory, brain, mind, whatever, and think hello, English, Korean. So I think for people who are not bilingual, this might be a bit weird. So I'm just explaining it for those people who are not, because I understand that it might be a weird concept, like what language do you think in? Like when you're speaking in another language, do you think in that language? And I think that because I did grow up speaking Malay, I actually don't think in English when I speak Malay. So like I just said, if I go learn, even Chinese, if I go learn Chinese and I'm like, how do I say hello? Okay, I need to reference how to say hello and then think about how to say it in Chinese. Whereas in Malay, I can think in Malay, and that's because I've spoken it my whole life. Like in primary school, most of my friends were Malays, and I spoke Malay more than I spoke English, just because of the people that I was surrounded by. So I think your environment definitely plays a role, but I just spoke Malay a lot growing up, and my dad's really fluent too. So yeah, this might surprise some people, because a lot of people just don't think that I can speak Malay because I went to study in the States, but I only studied college in the States, obviously. So I grew up in Malaysia, 100% can speak Malay. If you want me to say, and I know a lot of people also ask me to say something in Malay, so I don't know, what should we talk about? Okay, so I thought I would go through my YouTube questions and see if there's a question that I can answer simply in Malay and English, so that you guys can kind of, because a lot of people want to hear me speak Malay, I don't know why. But let's see, what can we talk about? Okay, I'm just gonna go straight into it. Sebenarnya pelik juga, sebab kalau saya baca ni kan, ada banyak yang tanya pasal macam saya suka orang macam mana, kalau saya ada macam nak cakap pun teman lelaki. Tapi biasanya kalau orang Malaysia pun cakap macam boyfriend kan, tapi ada banyak cakap pasal benda tu. Tapi saya memang tak suka nak jawab soalan-soalan macam ni, sebab saya rasa macam saya punya channel pasal golf. Jadi saya faham banyak orang nak macam kenal saya lebih, tapi saya rasa pelik lah kalau saya nak cakap pasal saya punya macam love life dekat public, dekat online. So biasanya saya tak cakap pasal benda ni sebab minta maaf lah kalau you tanya, tapi ada macam tanya saya suka orang macam yang pendek ke, tinggi ke, gemuk ke, kurus. So macam pelik sangat sebab kalau saya, okay, saya jawab sebab sebenarnya saya memang, kalau saya jatuh cinta, saya rasa pelik cakap macam ni sebab biasanya kalau kita cakap orang Malaysia, kita memang tak cakap macam formal sangat, memang cakap ada campur bahasa English, bahasa Melayu kan. So anyway, so kita cakap, okay, kalau saya jatuh cinta dengan orang, memang saya suka sebab dia punya personality lah, bukan pasal appearance ke apa. Sebab saya rasa ada banyak orang macam dia orang kacak ke apa-apa, tapi dia punya personality tu memang macam tak payah nak cakap kan, sebab dia orang tahu dia orang handsome ke kacak ke apa, pasal dia orang punya personality pun tak bagus. Jadi saya rasa personality lagi penting daripada appearance. Jadi okay, itulah pelik sebab saya cakap bahasa Melayu pasal cakap pasal benda ni pula. Tak apalah, anyway, okay. Basically what I was saying was, I think it's quite funny because I wanted to answer a question, and other than like golf questions, there were a few questions about like describing the kind of person that I would go for, and I'm sorry but I don't really like answering this type of questions in public or like online because I feel like this is such a personal thing, and I understand that you guys want to know me more personally and you guys have invested so much time in like getting to know my golf game and getting to know more about me. But I think that with regards to that, there are certain things that I like to keep private because once you put it out there online, it's everybody's there to judge you and like judge your everything you do, right? So I feel like that should be a part of your life that you keep private, even though you do things online or are an online personality or whatnot. But anyway, with regards to that, I said like some people even ask me what kind of men I like, but I would say that personality is more important than appearance because there are a lot of like good-looking guys who know they're good-looking and act like they're good-looking. So if you know what I'm talking about. So I think that at the end of the day, you need to be with somebody that you are attracted to in terms of their personality, because if you are with someone, you need to spend a lot of time with them, and if you cannot stand them, you are not going to be able to spend time with them. So I would say personality over looks and just chemistry, being able to connect, being able to talk, I think that's so important. But anyway, let's go back to golf. Okay, the last thing that I wanted to talk about in this short Q&A, which I think was really important, is with regards to sponsorships. So people have asked me for like recommendations on things that they should use and stuff like that, and they asked for non-paid reviews. So here's the thing about sponsorships. I think first and foremost, okay, as somebody who is not working, obviously like this is my job and right now I can't play, so I can't earn a living in the sense of what I should be earning a living by, which is playing golf. There are ways to earn through sponsorships that you can just, you know, collaborate with people, and whether you like the product or not, you can just promote it. I do think that I've been quite lucky because most of the people that have approached me and that I've actually talked to, they've given me the opportunity to use the products and then see if I actually like it and want to promote it, and not just be like, okay, I'm going to give you a product and share it on your social media, which I don't think is fair, because you might be given a product and you might not like it, but because you were given it, you feel that obligation to share it and say nice things about it. So with regards to things like golf clubs, so I think I've said this in a video before, but I am sponsored by Titleist, so I have a ball, shoe, glove contract with them, so they do provide me with all those kind of things that I need when I'm playing in tournaments. But with my clubs, I think you guys can see that I have quite a mixed bag. And so the reason why, and I said this before as well, is because I got sponsored once with clubs and I just could not use the clubs, and once you're sponsored with it, you have no choice but to keep using it. So and nothing wrong with the clubs at all, it is a good brand, it's just that I think it wasn't suited to me. So I kind of have a fear of being sponsored by golf club, like a golf club brand, no matter what brand it is. Like, that's not throwing any shade to any brand out there. I think honestly there's so many good brands, and it really depends on the player and depends on what suits you, what looks good to you, what sounds good to you. But every club that I use, it's not sponsored by the brand, it's like bought. So, and I know some of you guys noticed that I changed from the Ping to the Titleist, and that wasn't a sponsored kind of thing. So it was in terms of just being able to achieve a better performance with the Titleist because of several reasons. But as you guys know, I'm trying to increase my swing speed and my distance. And with the Ping 425, it is a very forgiving club, so it's a really good club, and I think it's good for a lot of amateurs. Not saying that it's not good for pros as well. It is a very good club. As you can see, there's so many pros using it. But it was just, I had a really nice ball flight. Like, it's very pretty. To me, I would say it's very pretty. It's very high, it's very straight. But because of how forgiving it was, I was basically backspinning my driver, and I've had that problem for a while. So Eric, who you guys know, told me basically that it's because the driver is so forgiving that it doesn't sway much, but I was just creating so much spin with it, and we tried to change shafts, and it's just that the hit wasn't suited to what I was trying to do, and that's why I changed to the Titleist. And so now I'm using the TSI 3, and as I said, it's all not sponsored. It's right now I'm very lucky to be supported by people like Eric, and people who help me out, and in that sense I have that leeway to change drivers as and when I like, which I enjoy. Because for instance, that 425 was a very well performing club. It was a very good driver, but I just wasn't getting much distance with it. So I was carrying it fine, but because it was backspinning, like if you've played with me, you would know my driver literally goes forward and then comes back. So I'm like carrying 230 and finishing 229. So obviously there is big difference because I carry it further than people, and then they roll past me because I just don't have the run, which is no matter what, like you obviously want run from your driver and not backspin. So just because of that, that's why I changed to the Titleist, and it's just performing better because it's lower ball flight, it's less spin, which is less spin that I could not achieve with the Ping. But as I said, I'm not sponsored by either. Both the drivers were bought, so I don't have any obligation to say anything about the drivers, but I would say that both are really good drivers. It's just that they're for different people, and that's what I said with regards to clubs as well. Every club is good, right? The technology is all about the same. I mean, I'm not a tech person, so I don't know. Eric would tell you like what the small differences are, but to me, they've reached a point that they should all be about the same. That's why they're competitive with each other. That's why they're competitive brands. But at the end of the day, I think that you just need to find something that suits you and your game, and that's what I personally have been doing. Just as I said, just being lucky enough to have people who support me, that I'm able to do things like change a driver and test it out and see whether I like it or not. And like I said, I really like the Ping. I think it looked very pretty. The ball flight was very pretty. It was one of those that if you see me hit, you'd be impressed by it. But once you go up to the ball, you're like, oh, you didn't hit it very far. Yeah, it's because my ball backspin. So it looked like it was going very far, but then it didn't end up being very far because of that. So, and the Titleist, I mean, it's not as forgiving a club, so that's why some people might not like it. But I'm getting 10-20 yards rollout, so that's a big difference between carrying it 230, finishing 250, and carrying it 230 and finishing 229. So that is like could be up to 1 or 2 clubs difference, and that's why I changed my driver. And as you could see, I'm using the same setup, same shaft, everything. And yeah, so I would say I don't want to recommend clubs to you guys because I think that you should use what best suits your game. And I don't really believe in like, oh, blades, you should use blades if you want to look good, like because pros are using it, or use Forge, whatever. As you guys know, I used that 425 for like the longest time, and people are like, why are you using 410 irons for the longest times? And people are like, why are you using amateur irons? I'm like, well, if I'm hitting amateur irons and I'm hitting it 3 feet from the pin, I don't care. You know what I mean? So I just think you need to find something that performs well for you and something that you personally like to see, to hear, to feel. At the end of the day, it's your game. I can't tell you what to use. I can tell you what I think works for me, but it might not work for you. So yeah, that is my whole lecture with regards to that. But yeah, I think that's my little Q&A session for this video. It wasn't that little, but yeah, I might end this video earlier than I expected because I don't want this video to be like an hour long. But anyway, I hope I answered some of your questions, and I will come back with another Q&A soon because you guys did give me a lot of good questions that I do want to answer. So
Hey guys, so I'm editing right now and I realized I didn't do an outro for this video. But basically, like what I said, I will do a full video about improving your golf game during lockdown, which will probably be the next video. So stay tuned for that. I didn't want this vlog to be too long, but I hope I answered some of your questions. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.